8 fishermen for 1 week a season on multiple different rivers. I mean, what's better than that?
These rivers are untouched. There's nobody that gets to fish them. We're gonna fish them hard for 4 days and have a blast, and nobody's gonna touch us again until next year.
When I'm driving around here looking for polar bears, I mean, the thing that really sticks out to me is the grass flats. I mean, I've got the ocean off to one side of me, this incredible mud flat with the tide going in and out, in and out. And then I look down and I see these huge grass fields. It reminds me of like the openness of the Serengeti or something like that.
Never having been this far north, it almost looked like pictures of the Serengeti when you see like the deserts and like out of Africa, just the vastness and your eyes opening up and just the amount of space and light kind of put a zap to my brain, you know. This is a rough tundra. You're going to some wild country.
Nanuk Polar Bear Lodge. Remote, it's fly-in only. It's a gorgeous lodge in the middle of nowhere. Northern Manitoba at its best. We're sitting on the Hudson Bay on an east-west coast, covered in polar bears, beautiful rivers. I mean, there's nothing like it in the world. Incredible fishery, lots of fun, native and sea-run brook trout. Get all the colors in the natives, get all the silvers out of the sea runs. Beautiful sizes, beautiful fish, very strong, hard-fighting fish.
We're just about to head out and make our way up to the Nanuk River. It's basically back towards York Factory. We've been going up to the Moosewa, so it's set all the way up to the Moosewa, and then we've got 2 sort of deeper river crossings or creek crossings before we get to the Nanuk. So we might have to poke around and find a good crossing spot, but for the most part, it's going to be a good smooth trail. A couple creeks, shouldn't be throwing you out of the trailer or anything. All right, so why don't we make our way out? The journey getting to the fishing spots, to the river, it's an adventure in itself because, I mean, depending on the season, it's going to depend on the mud conditions. So you can have it fairly dry like we have it right now, where you're driving across mud flats or grass flats at this time. But I mean, given one good rain, it can turn into a mud bog and you can get a little bit covered, and you might have to get off the vehicle and help it get unstuck, or you might, you know, just cruise along and enjoy the sun and watch that polar bear go by. You never know.
So the key here when we're fishing on these high tides like this, you have a full moon, you have high tides right now, we're between 4 and 4.3 meters. Today, tomorrow, and the next day are the highest tides for this month. And that's the key. As soon as we've got those high tides, now we've got the water levels for the sea runs to get into here.
I guess what really shocked me up here is there really wasn't anything under 16 inches. You know, you get a 15, 16 inch fish and you say, oh man, I want to go get a, you know, where I'm saying 16 inch brook trout in the lower 48 is King Kong. So it was cool.
So we have this fabulous guide, Nolan. He's been leading us through this whole adventure, and off in the distance toward the coast, he spotted some polar bears. It turned out to be a mom and a cub, And he said, hey, you guys want to see a polar bear? And of course we do. So we're like, yes. And we drove up a ways, and then we got off the quads and did a little hike. I was enthralled by it. It was incredible. I'd never seen a polar bear. And then we got to watch the baby playing around with Mom. And it was just really cool. In the middle of nowhere is this little jewel of a lodge that has amazing staff and accommodations and food, and I honestly can't talk enough about what a great time we've had with our guides. It's been awesome. You know, it's crazy because when I look at the map, it's like, whoa, it's way up there. But then when you get here, you understand how far away from everything else it is and how unspoiled it is, and that was absolutely one of my favorite things about coming here.
I guess that was the intrigue of it, was that it's not just a fishing trip. There's a lot more to it. The polar bears, I think, are key for this part of Canada. You know, that's one of the big reasons that we wanted to come along, for the fishing, the polar bear, just the adventure of it all rolled into one trip. And it's been a very, very unique experience, and I'd do it again.